All right, guys. Stuff we like. Do you guys want to just get into? I mean, we're already an hour in. Let's just talk about Winter Soldier, and we'll talk about Justice League. Other stuff we'll hold off for next week. Let's keep the MMA tie-in though, because Winter Soldier, it was Falcon and Winter Soldier. Stefan, we're 5 minutes into this bitch, and who shows up?
I mean, no one told me that we were going to see the return of Batroc the Leaper.
I was so happy. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm into this already.
I got a question for you guys. Did you guys have the the subtitles on?
I do, because I always have them on.
Did you notice? Did you notice that his character was billed as George's?
I didn't catch it. It just said George.
I will send you guys the picture because I took a picture of it when I was watching it.
He transcends being Batroc. He's George the Leaper. There you go,
guys. We're gonna get into much, but like we did with the WandaVision, we're gonna really say it's the whole season, and it seems like this is more of the way these Marvel shows are. We're gonna build to a crescendo, and we're gonna really treat the season as a whole. I think we're going 10 episodes. Am I wrong? 9 episodes? What are we doing? 6 episodes.
This is the shortest one. Yeah.
In 6 weeks, we'll give you a full breakdown of this thing, but just initial impressions. George St. Pierre's in it, bitch. I don't know if he's gonna come back. That made me happy, but I was into it. I guess we learned that they don't get paid to be an Avenger. That was really my takeaway. But some slow burn stuff. Got some good old fashioned racism. I was, really set the stage for some stuff, and we saw Winter Soldier on a date. I was into this thing.
It can't be that slow a burn. There's only 5 episodes left.
I mean, I don't want to ask for stuff that we all know the answer to because it was spoiled. But do we have a big bad already established for this thing? Did they
We do. We saw him in the trailer. We're at least one. And I will say this is probably it, because if one thing WandaVision taught me is not to expect too much out of these shows. Because ultimately, I think these are just kind of extra chapters, right? We're not going to get any big revelations because they kind of want the shows to be supplementary to the movies. If you're not so hardcore to watch the shows, they still want you to be following on the movies, and that's where the big stuff is going to happen. But we're seeing the return of a character from the other movies, and in this movie, he ascends to the purple ski mask, Baron Zemo. So that seems like that's kind of be what's going on in the back here. But yeah, it's. It was a very character-driven first episode, but like I said, having seen WandaVision and kind of reframing my expectations of what they are, that's totally fine. That's totally perfect. It's fleshing out the characters that weren't the A-listers, but maybe they're going to have to do a little bit more heavy lifting with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans now kind of out of the fold. If you look at the reaction to Wanda and what people are saying about Elizabeth Olsen, maybe a star was born there. So if Sebastian Stan... And I'm blanking on Sam's real name.
Papa Doc? No, it's Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie.
He's still Papa Doc.
If this can help raise their star level so that when they're in a more prominent role in these upcoming Marvel movies, that helps them. That's all for the better then.
If I was smart, Mike, I would have said Papa Doc, waited a beat, and waited for you to say his real name's Clarence. And we really could have had something there. I really blew that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm into it, Marcus. I mean, what's the initial reaction before we move on to Justice League? What do you think?
Yeah, no, this shit's an easy sell for me. I'm on fucking board day one. I would say of all the things, all the shows that they've shown, I thought the trailers leading up to the show got me the least excited. I was the least excited for this one because what I saw previously just didn't really excite me. I like this first episode. Obviously, this is going to be a much more straightforward narrative than we got with WandaVision. I think WandaVision was a very unique, special show that we're not going to get a ton of those type of shows where, where every week we're guessing at what's happening. I think a lot of the Marvel shows are going to be a little bit more straight and narrow, except, I think the Loki show will be a little bit out there too. But this is much more of a focused, easy to follow narrative. And mostly what I love about these Marvel movies is even though the movies don't get a ton of time to world build, these shows will, and I think that's really interesting. I think I like having these series that have this continuity that goes through all the movies, and it really gives me a place in the world and a feeling of what the day-to-day people have gone through. So having these shows kind of reinforce people, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. The blip thing, people have been gone for 5 years, I think is very interesting. I think it's interesting to have storylines around that. And then some of those narratives get kind of jumbled. I think it was really dumb when he went into the bank and they're like, where's your income for 5 years? Like, well, I got blipped, dude. Like, you should kind of know this. This is like everyone dealt with that shit for 5 years. And they're kind of like, the bank doesn't have like understanding of like not having income for 5 years because you didn't exist.
That was stupid. That was kind of stupid. Yeah.
I'm gonna defend that because have you guys never had to deal with some bullshit bureaucasy because of some insurance crap or something
what I was
like
gonna
that?
say is like I think that excuse of like the bank guy being like, you didn't have income for 5 years, like what am I supposed to do with that? Didn't really land for me. The thing that did land was like, look at the half the population just popped up. Everyone wants fucking loans right now. Like, you have a shrimping boat. Like, we're not going to back this. I'm sorry. We have to be a little bit more strategic with, the bank's money. That I thought made a lot of sense. Like, yeah, a lot of people just bounce back and everyone's going to need business loans and shit. It's going to be tough to do. And I think diving into both those characters' personal stories is really interesting because we don't get any of that stuff in any of the movies. There's very little of these superheroes' personal lives because there's a bigger narrative going on. There's a big baddie that they're chasing after. They're trying to figure things out. There's not enough time to have the mundane, Scarlett Johansson eating a sandwich. They fit those in and they're great, but it's tough to do in a tight-knit movie. Bob?
Do you think that they heard the criticism of the 10-minute fucking credits from WandaVision? Because let me tell you, this one was way shorter, the credits. Because I saw how long the first episode was, and I'm like, all right, I'm trying to look at the preview. Where's the credits? I'm like, it's only a few minutes of credits. WandaVision had like 10 minutes of
I have
credits.
to feel like that is a low thing they're thinking about.
I don't know why it went to my head, because immediately I'm like, after the first episode of WandaVision, I'm like, these aren't this long. Let me see how long it really is. Anyway.
You say that, Bob. The credits, I'll tell you, the credits were 7 minutes, okay? So if that's an improvement, that's fine. Because my thing with WandaVision, period, was the episodes were too short. Like the half hour, I always felt when the, it cut to that TV thing at the end every time. What was it? Like,
to be continued.
I forgot what it said.
Yeah.
Like, but it always would cut to that. I'm like, wait, that's it? That's the whole episode?
The color
when I saw
thing,
this episode was 49 minutes, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just the first episode, but I hope these are longer because also knowing it's 6 episodes. But then when the credits started rolling at like 41 minutes in, I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers. And I just looking at the scroll bar and I'm like, oh, there's still 7.5 minutes of credits. Is there any mid scene or anything? No, there's just lots of credits.
You know what, though? Give me those 7 minutes, because what that 7 minutes is really representing is they're putting fucking money and talent into these shows. And that's the most important thing, because I don't need another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't need a low budget. Look, if I wanted to get my superhero fix with some low budget bullshit, I'd be on Mike's train and we'd be CWing it over here with Days of Tomorrow and all that shit. But that's not for me. I like the Marvel, what the MCU has done. And now that they're transitioning into the TV show, I expect this type of quality. And if it wasn't delivering this, I wouldn't be on these shows. I'd bounce off them.
Do you remember with some of the Marvel Netflix shows where, like, I think this was my common criticism, where we'd get to the end where I'm like, this 13 episode thing could have been 7 episodes. We really could have trimmed the whole middle 5 episodes out. I mean, it's better though, I've been vocal.
Like, I think the bar was so low that first Daredevil season really kind of like, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But like, I'm never going to rewatch those shows because and I've talked about it, there's so many scenes I just don't give a shit what's going on. It's just 2 characters talking. And what the MCU does so well is they're going to have a scene. We're going to get these points across, and I'm going to hit you with 5 jokes. So you don't just numb over while we're doing our conversation. I'm going to hit you with a little lore. I'm going to hit you with the funny here. They keep it going. And so I really enjoyed this show. I think it's, I like where they let off. I really like that action scene. WandaVision was kind of lack, and when they did get into action, it was in the last episode, it was pretty poor. This was high quality film grade MCU action scene when they were doing the kind of flying. It was also kind of dumb. Like when they jumped out of the helicopter, I'm like, well, Falcon's got this shit. He's all about flying, and these dudes are in fucking. You can't go up in the sky suit that much, but this fucker can fly. Like, how are they going to have any, advantage here? But it was still a very fun scene, and that's what we're getting here is like the quality is right there with the movie. So I'm very pleased.
How many minutes after GSP being in this episode coming out, was it the same day where Khabib probably saw it and said, "This motherfucker's not coming back. This motherfucker's
he got away on the show
money.
Too. I never know. Even in was he in Winter Soldier? Right, he was in the beginning. Like, I always forget. Like, did he get away? Like, what actually happens to that character? Because he just
I forgot what happened here too. I'm just like, did he just get away with it?
He got away. Boat, and they he's in prison on the boat. Like they have him bound and secured when they call in the troops and everything. And it's just kind of presumed he's taken to super bad guy jail. But
Okay.
I just want to say
that never holds.
I had a hard time believing Captain America could get George St. Pierre. I'm supposed to buy fucking, the guy who doesn't have confidence to be Captain
here's why
America.
I could buy it, Bob, is because when he was standing next to Chris Evans, I'm like, oh, that's right. George is a welterweight. He's a lot smaller. He is much, much smaller than this man who's been professionally lifting weights for this role.
Hey man, it's middleweight champion too. I'm just saying, 185 too. Let's get into Justice League. Okay. This is gonna be a long episode, folks. Just enjoy it. This is gonna be spoilerific. Which again, this movie, I think the first time it came out was 3 years ago, though. I'm not mistaken. And we got here is, if you guys don't know the story, the movie was originally being directed by Zack Snyder of 300 fame, and really, did he direct Batman vs Superman? And he was kind of shepherding a lot of these movies in the DC universe. And tragically, Zack's daughter took her own life mid-filming, and he's like, I gotta deal with real life here. And DC needed somebody to come fix it, and they're like, you know what, man? Joss Whedon handled the Avengers. Let's see if he can come fix this, or come sort this out. I'm not sure if fix was the right word. The end result was not liked. People did not enjoy the Justice League movie overall. I don't think it got as panned as like Batman vs Superman or anything like that. But it wasn't good. The reviews weren't good. I remember thinking at the time, okay. So HBO Max came out as when they announced HBO Max as this new series, as this new service, where people, I mean, this is before when they said on the pandemic, we're all going to get a bunch of every movie's going to go to HBO Max. But they were just announcing HBO Max. One of the things, to say this isn't just, HBO, what they said was, we're going to give you the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League. And that he was filming a bunch of new stuff, and he was going to use all this, we're going to get the guy's original vision. Which a lot of people were just like, okay, whatever. Honestly, it wasn't that positive, to be honest, at first, I remember, with a lot of people, because I think they were just like, well, we saw what the guy did with Batman vs Superman, and shit like that. Like, how good could this be? This was released on Thursday evening, I think.
Well, I just want to say, I want to chime in. I think your telling of the history is a little off there.
Okay, that's fair.
Snyder, he has a very fervent support base. This exists due to that fervent support base. It's like Firefly getting the movie. There was a very vocal crowd that demanded #release the Snyder Cut was a very real internet movement. This didn't come from nowhere. So is all I'm saying is there was a big demand, but like you said, it was met with the resistance of people being like, and me being included, I'll be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of Zack Snyder. I've seen what came before this, and I was like, why is there such a strong expectation that this will be good? I was like, you mentioned it, Bob. We're coming off the heels of Batman versus Superman, and I'm like, there was no interference in that movie. What was his excuse for that?
Look, for me, Zack Snyder, I have the very distinct memory of us walking out of the movie theater after Watchmen and just being like, why did he do that at the end? So, that's for me, Zack Snyder, the lingering thing for me. But anyway, this came out. They said it was 4 hours long. And I'll be honest, I made the same joke everybody else did, which was just like, motherfucker, the problem with the first one wasn't that it was too short. Okay? That was not the problem with the original Justice League release.
Although,
I really enjoyed this movie.
The original Justice League movie only clocked in at 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we had to take take out all of the entire story for Cyborg, apparently. We had to kill all that shit, which was, God forbid, we made that character matter. I skipped that. I thought it was, I think everybody on this podcast is going to tell you that it was definitely better than the first one. I enjoyed myself the entire time watching it. It was 4 hours long. I know I made the jokes. Man, I'm at home. What am I doing? And it's broken up into parts. So I was just like, cool. After halfway through it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go eat dinner. I know what happened. I'm going to come back. I thought he did a really good job making me care about these characters. My criticism of a Zack Snyder movie is the same criticism I have of all Zack Snyder movies, where I'm like, why the fuck is it always so overcast? Why does it look so gloomy in all these movies?
You don't like his dark saturation.
It doesn't do it for me, because even the Marvel movies, I'm like, it just looks like it's a good, even when bad shit's happening, I'm like, it's sunny. I'm having a good time a little bit. This one, I don't like that, but I thought the movie, I liked The Flash more. I like Aquaman I was cool with because I saw the Aquaman movie. I liked Flash more. I liked Cyborg. I actually cared about Cyborg. I did not give a shit about Cyborg the first time. They gave me no reason to give a shit about Cyborg the first time around.
You know what the Joss Whedon cut never does in its 2 hours? It never explains what Cyborg's powers are. And that is a very big omission that when they... I just
a
had that realization
man.
when they were introducing him, and they were talking about, like, you will be able to control all the systems. Like, manipulating the bank system will be like, you know, as flicking a switch to you. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I never knew what Cyborg did.
Well, I just want to say, like, I thought that was interesting, but it was also like, why? Why are you giving this teenager the nuclear codes? Like, and his dad's like, the hardest thing's going to be not launching the nukes. Like, then don't give him the nuke. I mean, I think they later explained that, like, the cube just made this fucker. And happenstance, he can control technology. But, like, when they were saying that, I was like, this seems a little far-reaching. Like, you can control all machinery and shoot the nukes. It's like, it's a little too much for you, Cyborg. I mean, you're 18. You just, like, won your football game. Now having the nuclear codes is a little bit of a jump. But, like, they got explained later. So I was like, okay, all right, I got it.
You know what I'm guilty of probably is I don't remember the first one that well. So I was sitting there the whole time with the cubes, and I'm just like,
dude,
I don't remember any of this cube shit.
When
they
opened the movie and Superman died, I was like, so I was watching with my wife Christine, and she never saw Justice League. I didn't even know. So like we're watching the beginning, and there's like Superman's dying or whatever, and she's like, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I think this is a flash forward because I couldn't remember Superman died in Batman vs Superman. I thought they both said their mom and Martha, and that was the end of the movie. It's all
honestly, I was sitting there and I'm like, the bad guy in this is Vandal Savage, right? And then I'm just like,
nope.
Okay, nope, it's not. And I'm like, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. It's sad that the only thing I remembered was this stupid ass joke because Joss Whedon had about what's his name sitting on the lasso of truth and talking about how hot Wonder Woman was. That's the only thing I remember.
I do remember Justice League pretty well, and so I'll point out some of the big things. One of the things, and of course, Gogi gets angry as I'm talking here. He likes the Whedon cut, apparently. One thing Snyder really had was the benefit of hindsight, right? Like, Whedon shot some new stuff, but he used a lot. What you see is, you did use a lot of Snyder's footage, and one thing we saw is the really bad humor. Like, The Flash goes on a 3-minute tangent about what is brunch. Do you guys remember that? It was horrible. It has no laughs whatsoever. And Whedon added the parts where all the weird kind of sexual thing, Flash falls on Wonder Woman's boobs. He falls and is looking up her skirt. And it's like, yeah, there's no need for that. Like, we don't need to turn like the Amazons into a weird sex object joke, you know? And coming off of Wonder Woman 84, like, we got Wonder Woman the badass again. Remember, like, Batman vs. Superman was bad, but I think most of us agree Wonder Woman was handled pretty well. She was cool. Her introduction was fun. So it's like, that's the one thing that Snyder got right. There's a lot of scenes is...
1 second, Steph. Sorry, Marcus, you want to get in on this?
Well, I was just going to say, like, and another, like you were saying, like, another thing that this movie weirdly benefits from is that when the first Justice League came out, a lot of these movies didn't have their own standalone stories. But now, oddly enough, they do. So, like, we do know a lot more about Wonder Woman, and we do know a lot more about Aquaman. And even though they explain more in this movie because it's a 4-hour movie and we get a lot more deep dives, it's really interesting that when the first movie came out, it was weird because it's like, okay, you're introducing, I think Wonder Woman was already in Batman vs. Superman, but you're introducing Aquaman and Flash and Cyborg, and it's a 2-hour film, and you're not going to get enough time to really get them exposed. But now, after these have come out and we're redoing Justice League, it's like, we have an Aquaman movie, we have 2 Wonder Woman movies, and now it's like, so we know those characters really well, and now it's like, okay, now give some time to Flash, obviously, Cyborg has a story that was not, really... drawn out at all in the first movie. Let's draw that out. So like, there's a lot of weird hindsight that this movie benefits from that makes it stronger. And I think, having these other movies come out and having this world fleshed out and also having the DC kind of nature of these films fleshed out, I think helps, because I think what Joss Whedon was trying to do was, because back then it was like, these DC movies suck. The Marvel movies are really good. What does Marvel do really well, which I just talked about in Falcon, is like, there's humor. They advance the plot by having humor, but what they also do is like their humor works, right? The characters, the jokes land a lot more, and the ones in that Joss Whedon had to push into Justice League didn't work, and it made the film worse. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of weird things that this movie coming out after all these other ones, and all these other DC movies, because I think now, like, I think DC movies are good. Like Shazam was good, Aquaman was. I mean, look, they're not fantastic, but I think they're good, solid.
I think people are really harsh. I think.
Well, I think they have a hard. You're everyone compares them to the Marvel movies, and I think those are masterclass. And I don't think, for me personally, DC's not quite there, but like they're enjoyable. I watch them.
They don't give them a lot of rope. Look, it's really, like if they just like, I think they're more forgiving. Mike, you had your hand up earlier. I thought you wanted to get in on this.
Yeah, just a critique more. I think some of the big differences between the Whedon and the Snyder Cut, and I had to go back and look at comparison videos that came out after the Snyder Cut came out that really highlighted the differences. And one thing that really stood out to me, and I remembered a lot of when I saw one of the videos, was how they tried to make Ben Affleck's Batman, just a really funny guy in the original Justice League movie. And it was and obviously we learned afterwards that was all stuff that Whedon put in. And it was just such a big tonal difference from the Batman that we got in Batman versus Superman. Even though I hated that movie, there was a tone that was put in that movie. That it was a Snyder tone. He's a very serious guy.
He's a fucking asshole. I enjoyed that. Batman's a dick.
But
right?
you really saw Batman's redemption arc between Batman versus Superman and the Snyder Cut Justice League now. That you really didn't see in the Justice League, as they call on the internet.
One of the thing I was going to hope you were to point out, because we haven't said it yet, but this was the biggest difference to me, was the redesign of Steppenwolf. Because Steppenwolf in the Joss Whedon, where he looks like a kind of slightly wrinkled man, but he's so super CG that it's just absolutely hitting that uncanny valley. But here we kind of give him like turtle faced horns. We make him more like mythic being, like monster. That just works so much better. Like they added a lot of plot points with the whole extended runtime, but Mark and I saw the Justice League together in theater, I remember, and that was the biggest eyesore in that movie. I was like, who is this villain? I've never heard of Steppenwolf, and he looks stupid. Like, it was bad. But so that's one of the things I thought was just such a massive improvement.
I got a question, and I think I know the answer for some of this. How many of these people are still playing these characters? Because I know Batman is no longer I feel for Affleck, man. Affleck won an Oscar, and they said, what do you want? He says, I want to be Batman. I want to be Batman and probably impress my kids and shit. And he died in this thing. I know what's his name's playing Batman now.
Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson, the guy from the Twilight flicks, which I'm sure he'll do well. He's a good actor. I know that.
I can't answer this. It kind of came out today. The guy, I think the Korean guy who's kind of running DC, I'm blanking on his name off the top of my head. He kind of confirmed this is it for the Snyderverse. We're not continuing the Snyderverse. This was kind of a one-shot deal. Who's remaining is, thus far, Gal Gadot is still going to continue to be Wonder Woman. I think what they are talking about is removing Patty Jenkins as the director. They are really disappointed with how 84 performed and was received. They're like maybe they'll give Snyder control of Wonder Woman is what he'll do. Aquaman will continue to be Jason Momoa, and though he was mired in conflict, it does seem like Ezra Miller will continue on as Flash.
What did he do?
There was footage of him.
He beat some dude up.
Yeah, beating a woman at a bar where he's throwing her to the ground and like smacking her. So
what's his name's gone though? Ray Fisher's gone, right?
Ray Fisher is gone following his lawsuit. Ben Affleck is out, and after much tension, Henry Cavill is out as Superman as well.
He lost Henry Cavill. This is a good Superman, man.
Yeah, he's the Witcher. No, he's the Witcher now. All right.
Well, I thought he was a good Superman though, but people have.
There's that one is a lot of behind the scenes tension, saying he's difficult to work with. There was the whole Mission Impossible fiasco, which was messing if we remember from Justice League, was the mustache gate and the digital lip.
But that wasn't his fault, though. He was contractually not able to cut his mustache.
He was Gina Carano's boyfriend. I think we need to rethink the whole situation.
I like Henry Cavill.
Stuff about Gina Carano.
The big guy's a dude, giant dorky gamer, but the word is he clashed very significantly with WB studio execs, and he's out.
Brandon Routh, let's get him back, man. He looked fine. Let's get him back.
What's a real shame, just real quick, is considering. And this is what I thought at the end, the Snyder Cut, is considering that in this version of the movie, Ray Fisher's Cyborg was such an important part, and I actually really liked his performance in it. It's a shame, and I understand why he did what he did. If he felt that he was treated badly by Joss Whedon and by, I guess, the director or the president of Warner Brothers.
No, Jeff Johns, who is kind of the DC head for Warner Brothers. He's kind of in the Kevin Feige role for DC.
I thought it was some Japanese dude, like Kevin Wanta something. No,
that's the new head. That's the one. Yeah.
But
in collusion with stuff that
Right.
Jeff Johns said and did. Yeah.
Well, it's a
barely the
shame.
first movie, man.
It's a shame considering how good he was in the Snyder Cut that yet now he's out as Cyborg, and Cyborg's character has been completely cut from the Flash movie.
There's a Flash movie.
Well, supposedly.
They want to emphasize it is not the Flashpoint paradox. The director wants you to know he is not making that story, so stop thinking that that's the story he's making because you're just going to be disappointed.
That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, that's the thing. Fan expectation.
By the way, that's the thing. Like, you say what you want about these CW shows, motherfucker has done Flashpoint. They've done so many random shit in that TV show. It's absurd.
On a very low budget.
It looks ridiculous.
I'm gonna run the risk of us, going super long on this, but I wanted to bring up specifics from the movie. I'm harsh on DC, and after I bring this up, I'm gonna get harsher with some of my big complaints about this movie because ultimately I thought it was good, not great. Because there's a lot of things that Snyder does that I don't like stylistically, but I will give him credit for this. Growing up, as much of a Marvel head as I am, and it's Marvel over DC a million times out of a million, but my favorite superhero growing up was The Flash. And I will say that after they fail with the mother boxes and the world is scorched and Darkseid is about to come, and then Flash he uses the Speed Force to turn back time, that sequence is the most visually stunning sequence in any superhero movie to me, period. Where you see him rewinding the destruction of the planet, and you see like the whole gravel is resetting and everything behind him, like that sequence was stunning. I love the design of Flash's suit in this universe. One thing I think DC does well that is a big complaint about Marvel is the sameness of uniforms in Marvel. It doesn't matter if you're an Asgardian. It doesn't matter if you're a cosmic guardian in the galaxy. It doesn't matter if you're an Earthbound Avenger. You all have the same costume designer. You all have the same kind of faux leather latex outfits, no matter where in the universe you come from. But
there's cows everywhere, Stefan. There's cows everywhere. That's a Marvel theme.
In DC, everyone has kind of a very distinct functionality to why their uniform is the way it is. I think that's really cool. And I love the Flash's design. So I will say this. Ezra Miller runs really weird. He's always kind of throwing his arms like he's reaching. He's got real floppy, he kind of needed like a running consultant. Could we have brought in Michael Johnson to show him what optimum speed form is? He runs goofy as hell, but I just love that sequence. I just thought it was truly amazing.
I'm looking for a real specific complaint here, by the way, Stefan, for you to come. I've one in my head. I'm waiting for it to come. It's about an unnecessary person showing up.
Oh, unnecessary. That's one of my. Okay, so this is my broad complaint. There is a 3-hour version of this movie that is perfect. Because the fuck is Martian Manhunter doing in this movie? I'm gonna pretend to be Clark's mom to tell Lois, you gotta go outside. Like, well, what was that? That was just so fucking unnecessary. If you just had him come in at the end, I said this when we were talking earlier. Zack Snyder loves slow motion montages to songs that don't fit the scene. You can find a YouTube video that shows you every single one. Did we need a 3.5-minute song of 3 Icelandic sisters singing about Aquaman re-entering the ocean in slow motion? Like, we got a full song. There was a verse and hook.
I mean, that whole thing, we gotta tighten this thing up. I told you, 20 minutes in, I'm like, there's 5 minutes of island footage from the fucking Amazonians we can cut out right now. We're just showing sweeping shots.
I watched a video, Cosmonaut Variety Hour, and he broke down this thing is at 2 hours into the movie. You get that guy, Desaad. He comes in. He's talking to Steppenwolf. Where is the third box? The hunters are looking for it. They have the scent. An hour and 20 minutes later in the movie, that exact exchange happens again. Hey, Steppenwolf, have you found the third box yet? The hunters, they have the scent. They're looking for it. They're getting close. It's like, yeah, you really don't need to keep reusing the same exposition when nothing is progressing. Like, it's 4 hours. It's not a necessary 4 hours. There's a lot of the movie that's just redundant. It's dragged. It's unnecessary. Oh, like I said, overall, I like it, but these are problems I have with Zack Snyder. It doesn't need to be as long as it is. There are unengaging moments, I believe.
In his defense, though, I guarantee you, he's in post-production, he's in the cutting room, and he's like, yo, these bitches have been singing for 3 minutes in Icelandic. I should cut this. I should really tighten this up. And probably homie in the back was just like, yo, where they going? Everybody at home. Keep it in.
I mean, this.
Dude, that whole ending of the movie was that he's just. I think the whole ending of the movie was Zack Snyder saying like, "This is what we could have had, guys. This is where we were going, motherfucker.
I mean,
look at all this."
Before the movie even starts, you can clearly tell like, oh, they just let this dude do whatever the fuck he wanted because he's like, you know what, 4:3 CRTVs. That's what aspect ratio I want. No studio house is going to put their movie in 4:3. Okay, we have HD TVs nowadays. You don't do 4:3. But if you let a fucker do whatever the fuck he wants, the first thing he does, like, you know what? I liked watching movies on my VHS. That was the aspect ratio. I want this one. Like, okay, this dude can do whatever the fuck he wants. They obviously just wrote a blank check and it was like, yeah, you want 3 girls singing Icelandic songs for 5 minutes? Fuck yeah, dude. This is a 4-hour movie. Do whatever the fuck you want. You want it by 4:3? Go nuts. So, I mean, yeah,
dude,
I think right there. I was like, okay,
some executive vice president at HBO Max is like, yo, this motherfucker wants a 4-hour movie. And some other VP is like, yo, bro, we need content. Let him do what he wants. We need content, bro.
I got a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor, and I was watching it on that, and I'm like, there's so much black space. Like, I was doing the Windows thing where you could, like, snap it to the corner. I'm like, I fit the whole fucking thing, and it's full size in the side here. I have no
It's just a very
here.
director thing to be like, I'm going to change the aspect ratio to do everything opposite of what everyone's doing nowadays to stand out. And it's like,
Did they explain the black suit?
he was mournful
Wait,
because
did
he
you
came back
never
from his
read
death.
that?
So, no,
I didn't know. I'm not saying why. I'm saying,
Credit
did they not
to
explain
Grace Randolph, who is a big Superman fan and explained this for me. In the canonical comics, the black suit is a regenerative suit from Krypton. In the movie, it's just a stylistic choice. They do not establish that it is a recovery suit or a healing
I thought
suit.
I missed something. I'm like,
Yeah,
because
if you wanted to be real comic accurate, there would have been no cape
I feel somebody should have been like,
and a mullet.
why is he wearing black?
So, Easter egg about the black suit, Bob, is the reason it has the cape is the studio actually refused to let him do the black suit, and so they filmed it in the red and blue suit, and they just made it black in post. And this is as Mark said, this is Zack Snyder being like, I'm going to do what I want. Screw you, execs. This is the Snyder Cut, baby.
Me?
That is the story behind. If you look at the suit in shots, if it looks a little shiny or bluish, it's because it's color corrected. It's not actually a black suit.
Wow, crazy.
They should just let different directors make Batman and Superman movies on HBO Max, and that's the gimmick. Just different shit. Let's get the Tim Burton one up. Let's get him and Nick Cage, and let's do that movie next. We'll do one after another.
To kind of put a bow on at least my opinions of this, the one thing I do want to say is, kind of like Steph, this whole project did not seem necessary to me at all. It was just like, the movie happened, let's just move on. And when it was coming, to fruition, I was really like, how is it even going to look like consistent with like the quality of having like a full, studio going behind it besides like doing post-production. And I want to say, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, I think there's definitely some CG stuff that like stands out or doesn't look quite right, but I was expecting like whole scenes to look like cartoonish or like amateurish because they had to like reshoot a bunch of stuff. I think there's a cohesion throughout the film that it keeps a pretty standardized. I mean, at least for me, like I didn't see, it also helped that like I couldn't remember shit from the original one to be like, oh, is this a reuse scene or a new scene? But like it felt fairly consistent for me to have a movie where you added 2 hours like with post-production stuff. So I thought they did a pretty good job on there.
I just want to say I really like HBO Max. Like, for a service I wasn't so sold on, I think it's fucking great.
Same.
It's like, first of all, I mean, probably some of this is a result of the pandemic, and I know people are getting sued over this. They're getting sued over this. We're just sending all the new movies to HBO Max. But that's fucking awesome. That's where I watched, what's it called? The Judas and the Black Messiah. Mm-hmm. Fucking great. I watched the Harley Quinn show you guys told me about. Fucking great. I'm watching Doom Patrol. It's aight. It's... Yeah. I watched Justice League on there. Dave hit me with everything I need. Dave not let me down on any level. They should stop recommending Game of Thrones to me. It's not happening.
Same, Bob.
It's too soon.
I'll say the same thing. Like, I was not interested in HBO Max at all. And then it was only because like, you want to see the new Wonder Woman movie? You have to get this thing. And I was like, I begrudgingly was like, okay, I'll do their 6-month thing. I'll probably never use it. Like I never use Netflix and a lot of the other streaming service, but I use HBO Max quite a lot. I mean, I use it a lot more than Disney Plus, So
that's true.
I think you kind of there's a lot of options for streaming stuff, and I think HBO Max has done a really good job of niching itself out of the pack because I do consume a lot more of their content than Netflix, and maybe a little bit more than Hulu.
You really need, and this is my theory on streaming services, and we're getting a little off topic here, sorry, but I think with all these new streaming services, you can have the great library, and sure, that's cool that Peacock's got The Office, or whatever Paramount has, I don't know. You need to have new stuff, new shit. That's the only way this is going to work for me at this point for people to get stuff. So the fact that HBO Max is pumping out the new content, and, Disney Plus, man, God bless them. Once a week, I'm in Disney Plus.
It has to be good, though. They all do
Yeah.
new content. There's a ton of shit on Netflix. And the problem with Netflix is there's too much new content. I can't tell what's interesting or what's going to be good to me.
My dad was trying to sell me on Lupin. That's the French, detective one, where it seems like it's good, but I'm like, that's a lot of reading.
Well, is it or is that the anime...
Yeah, wasn't the anime also a detective?
Yeah,
like
Lupin the Third? Well, Lupin the Third is a bank robber, but I don't know if that has anything to do with that.
This is the black dude who's a detective. And I watched like 2 minutes of it, and I'm like, this looks good, but I'm doing 3 other things, and I can't.
The only problem with that, Bobby, is that having a show that might have been from an anime and having a black lead does not mean it's not from the anime, especially from Netflix, because they just slap a black person on front there and be like, diversity, motherfucker, and be like, wait, is this even the same show or not? I have no idea.
Just so I'm on the same page here, so we got no Superman right now at all. We have a Wonder Woman.
No, we have Superman.
Who is it?
Michael B. Jordan is going to be a black Superman. Did you not see that story?
I did not see that story.
I didn't see that either. I'm
and that's what happens when you kill off Killmonger. He's like, I'll go join DC then.
Man, Marvel has the rare, excellent bad guy. They fucking kill him, and everybody's like, should have fucking killed him. He was too good. So we got a different Superman. We have a different Batman. Is she still Harley Quinn?
Sure, she's done 2 movies.
I don't know. Is she? Whatever. We have Amber Heard, which nobody wants, in Aquaman. We'd like her to leave, given her controversy. We have the same Flash. We have the same Wonder Woman. We got the same Aquaman, and we just don't have a cyborg.
We have whoever John Cena's character is in that Suicide Squad, where that movie's not even out yet. He's already getting his own spinoff.
Yeah,
I told Mike that. Mike's just like, he did so well that he got his own show. This is John fucking Cena. All right, he can do anything. He's playing Vin Diesel's brother in Fast and the Furious. How?
Hey, John Cena was a scene stealer in that
Trainwreck.
That Amy Schumer movie, Trainwreck. He was great in that.
Okay, I need a little context here, because look, I don't want to turn this into a Fast and the Furious thing, but how the fuck do you have a movie that is nothing about family, and this dude has a brother they never talk about for 8 films?
That's true. All he does is talk about. I don't know, man.
Family and how important family is. This dude's got a brother that's not riding along with us. Oh, you
guys! I'm just gonna tell you right now. In about 4 months, we're gonna have a section of stuff we like about Fast and Furious 9, and where Stefan and Mark are gonna just leave, and Mike and I are gonna talk for 25 to 30 minutes.
That is actually accurate. I refuse to be privy to that talk, because
here's the thing, though. It's been so long since the last movies came out. It's been so long. I'm gonna have to rewatch all of them from the beginning.
That's so tall. You know what? You just turn on TNT any Saturday. It starts going.
I gotta imagine, Mike. I can find you a nice short 15-minute video that sums up all those movies, because I'm sure once you take out all the car chases and crashes, it's very much.
You know what?
Dude, want to steal a truck?
What's that?
Family.
Who's that one? I think it's 2 Chainz song, We Own It, where at the beginning of one of the movies, they just recap the first 5 minutes in a 4-minute montage. And I'm like, this is great. They realize these movies are just make no sense. Anyway, we're done with this. So there's going to be because people are saying, they should let Snyder finish his thing. That's not going to happen. None of these people are under contract. Not going to happen. We have no Joker either, right?
I mean, Snyder also said he actually would like to move on. I think it's kind of mutual in this case.
But, you want to be reminded of the movie you were working on when one of the biggest tragedies of your life fucking happened too. I imagine that might be thing too. We have no Joker, right? I mean, we don't.
Things are unconfirmed. There's the Will Leto get to continue it, and there's the whole the Joker from was it 2018 or 2019?
2019, I think.
2019. That Joker that was meant to be a standalone, but it made such a mountain of money that someone's going to force a sequel through,
So, my end game is that is there a cinematic universe right now?
No, it's, what are they calling it? It's the whole, bunch of standalones, everything's kind of independent of each other.
Is this new Suicide Squad, is James Gunn?
It's a reboot.
Is it even in the, is it even in the shit?
It's a complete reboot. It's its own thing.
I'm very excited for that. I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. I'm looking forward to being disappointed, but I'm very excited for that one.
I mean, kudos to him. He got that, and then he managed to use that as leverage to get Guardians of the Galaxy back. So he just gets to double dip in both.
Are they really calling it as Guardians of the Galaxy? Is that really what they're calling it? Or is that just a joke on the internet?
They should.
I'm serious. Is that what they're calling it? As Guardians of the Galaxy?
I think so, because I think that's what Thor will just continue in their movies.
Okay, we've had a long show. Just real quick, is Loki alive in the current universe of Marvel or not? I was thinking about that.
A version of Loki.
A version, right? Mike, Steph, you're muted.
Yeah, it's a past version. It's the Avengers 1 version of Loki traveling through time with the Tesseract.
When are we getting Doctor Doom? Let's be honest. That's what I'm waiting for from
when
Marvel.
they introduce the Fantastic Four and whichever big movie they want to introduce them in.
If they want to bring the same 4 people back of the original Fantastic Four, not.
You realize one of the original 4 was Chris Evans, right?
That's true.
Yeah, don't even fucking explain it.
That's the only one who I want to return is Chris Evans as the Human Torch again. But I will say in that I'm really on board with the internet desire. The Krasinski Blunt combo would be really great for that. I get it's not diverse, but fuck it.
Do they have a cast?
There's no.
At all?
It's all it's been is announced. The logo was revealed at the D23 expo with a bunch of other Marvel properties, but it's still 2-3 years out at best.
Do you know what's sad with the shitty? I mean, there was multiple shitty ones, but the shitty one with Alba and Evans and all them. I thought the casting of who they put in it at the time. Even the guy playing Doctor Doom, because I actually enjoyed Nip Tuck and I thought he was a real dick in that, and I bought him. I'm like, I don't think they picked the worst people. They just fucked it up royally. They fucked it up impressively bad in those Fantastic Four movies. I thought that the people they put into it, because Jessica Alba was as popular as she ever was going to be.
Yep.
And,
I have a opening day movie stub to Honey. That's right. We saw
Star Wars. We saw Honey opening day. Chris Evans was great.
Michael Chiklis was fit perfectly
First off,
as the thing.
What was the name of that show on
Shield.
FX? He won all the Emmys for The Shield. The other guy was just from King Arthur. I don't remember what else he did, but fine, I bought him. Again, they just fucked it up. Anyway, we're way off course here. This is a long episode. Thank you all for listening. We're gonna be back next week. We're going to see if we got a new heavyweight champion. We're going to see if the UFC fills out the rest of this fucking card. And we're all going to fawn over Marvin Vettori because he is main eventing next Saturday against Darren Till. And I am picking Marvin goddamn Vettori until he loses or fights Israel Adesanya. Until then, obviously we think you should probably watch the Justice League. And get in, if you're already, if you got Disney Plus still, you should watch, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. These are general recommendations we have for you. As always, stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, because it seems like you can just do it now. If you're in a lot of places. If you're 16 in Arizona, you can do it. Do it. Till then, I was Dr. Law. That was Kid Presentable. That was Lavender Gooms. And that was DJ Mark. Thank you all so much for listening. Peace out.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.